The Sports Cubicle.
Economics professor at Smith College, Massachusetts, Andrew Zimbalist.
When Chicago is approached, or Illinois is approached for new public funds to build yet another stadium, it shouldn't be, hey, this is going to be an economic boom for the city. It's not going to be. It should be, how much is it worth to us culturally to keep these teams here?
The Sports Cubicle with Mike Mercado, Devin Tingle, Dan Marver, and Paul Chivari. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on WCPT. The Sports Cubicle.
I can say the Bears' all-time leading scorer. I can say 18-year NFL veteran. But for now, I think I'll just say he's the head coach at Rolling Meadows. He's Robbie Gold. What made you go from playing football to coaching?
I was coaching in another high school, fell in love with coaching. Football is a part of who I am, but it's also an opportunity for me to be able to give back and give these kids an opportunity at Rolling Meadows High School to understand what they could do as a group.
The Sports Cubicle. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. WCPT.
2 years away from tying the game with 63 seconds and no timeouts. Stafford unloads. Score. And Matt Eberflus calms the storm in Chicago for the moment. Sean McVay, still shorthanded, falls to 1-3 on the season.
Adam Amin, Mark Sanchez, Fox Sports, the Chicago Bears, 2-2 in the season after beating the LA Rams 24-18. We are here on the Sports Cubicle, on Sports from the Couch. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day, and a lot to get into in this morning as the Chicago Bears find a way to win a game in Chicago. Some ups, some downs, and we're going to break it all down in this segment. So where do we want to start with? I think last week we were really critical here on the Sports Cubicle. I think most of us as Bears fans, whether you cover the team, you just root for the team, whatever the case may be, we were all critical about different aspects that we saw from the coaching staff to decisions made by the front office and the play of the players. And I had 4 questions that I asked at the end of the game when we did the post game last week. And I think to start this week, I want to answer those questions that the Bears put out there for us, right? The answers they gave us in this matchup against LA. And I had 3 essential questions. Why was Matt Eberflus kept? What has Shane Waldron done to earn the job, to earn our trust? How much of this falls on Ryan Poles? And what are our expectations for the Bears moving forward? Well, Matt Eberflus, I think we all agree on this, right? He runs a good defense. The defense likes him. They rally around him. It's something that we mentioned last week. Whether that was worthy enough of keeping his job and being out there to be part of Caleb Williams' development and whatnot, that is a different conversation. But the defense goes around him, and nobody's ever going to argue about that. And they played great against the Rams. They played a tough Rams team, kept them to a lot of field goals, and made Matthew Stafford pay when it was time for Matthew Stafford to pay. Shane Waldron, I think for the most part, called a better game. I think it's easy to give a better grade to Shane Waldron when you're playing a Rams team that is absolutely depleted, that DeAndre Swift was able to get right, that he was 46% of the offense. 52 snaps I think the Bears took. He had, over 20-something carries? We'll get into all the official stats in just a second. But I was thoroughly impressed. I was, I still have my concerns about the way this offense runs. But Shane Waldron answered his question this week about the scheme and getting the right players out there. We saw a lot of Cole Kmet. We saw a lot of unique offense. And it brought us to our third question, which was how much of this falls on Ryan Poles? Well, Ryan Poles' biggest, I think, downfall and his biggest criticism from critics is the offensive line, which still is a mess and still a lot of problems. But you got to give credit for him to bring in the veteran Pryor, that big behemoth of a man. And that was part of the reason the run game got established. And to Ryan Pohl's credit, he did sign these guys. So those three questions I asked about the head honchos of the Chicago Bears, for week 4, their answer was a passing grade, in my opinion. That doesn't change what we're going to ask for week 5 against Carolina, but they answered those questions. And my fourth question was expectations for this team. The expectations for this team, I think, continue to be optimistic, if not with a little timidness from fans that don't want to go all in. But why don't we go into some of the stats from this game against the LA Rams? A Bears victory, 24-18. They are now 2-2. Matthew Stafford, 20 for 29, 224 yards and 1 interception, a big interception at the end of the game. Caleb Williams goes 17 for 23, 157 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift was 16 carries, 93 yards and a touchdown. He also had 7 receptions for 72 yards. Tutu Atwell, 4 receptions, 82 yards for the Rams. And Kyron Williams, 19 carries, 94 yards and a touchdown. And that was just some highlights from some of these guys. And, I think Kyron Williams played a hell of a game. He was able to make big runs. He was one of the only things in this Rams offense that is a threat, a constant threat that can change a game, that could put a game on his back. That is how good I think Kyron Williams has been. And he had it all. He was averaging like 4.9 yards a carry. Like it felt every single time he was touching the ball, he was going to get a first down. But to the credit of the defense, because Matthew Stafford found a lot of the holes in the defense, found the soft spots in the defense, and they still only kept them to 18 points. The defense, this Rams team has a lot of veterans, has a lot of guys that can really hurt you. Matthew Stafford kept his game close and still had the ball with a chance to win it with the game coming down to the wire, right? The final drive of the game. So this was a dangerous team. This defense, they bent, they never broke. They always kept this offense able to try to get into this game. They always kept the lead once they got it. It was, I think, a testament to both sides of the ball when it came to finishing this game. Now, some team stats. This is where I wanted to get into, right? Like, we could talk about stats all we want, but here's a question that I have going into, this is my first question going into next week. When are you going to become a disciplined football team? I've had conversations with fans of other organizations, with pundits, with beat reporters about the one thing all bad teams do in the National Football League, and that is dumb penalties. In today's NFL, you can't avoid the penalty because the refs are just going to call it, especially early on in the season. But the Chicago Bears are an undisciplined team, especially on the offensive line. And again, you could determine the youth of the offensive line, certain positions like a Darnell Wright, but that is a Achilles heel for this team that has a couple of them already. You can't afford to keep going backwards, taking yourself out of scoring position. You can't keep putting all that pressure on your defense. You can't kill drives like they do with all the penalties that this team has. 10 penalties for 84 yards, and you still found the way to win. You are lucky. If it wasn't for the fact the Rams had 6 penalties themselves. Now, I think 7 of those penalties were in the first half for the Bears, so they were able to clean most of it up. But 3 penalties in the second half trying to close out a game was a lot. So my question to Matt Eberflus, to Shane Waldron, to the entire team, can you play disciplined football? Can you play smart football? Can you avoid the big penalty? We saw Jaquan Brisker have a penalty. He plays hard, though. So I'm not going to discourage him from playing the way he does because he'll get a penalty every once in a while. But you can't have offsides. You can't have holdings. You can't have false starts. You can't have these things. You can't kill drives like this team does. My first question to the entire Bears organization: can you play smart football and not have dumb penalties against Carolina next week? My second question is, can you continue the development of Caleb Williams? Now, Caleb Williams didn't have a Jaden Daniels game, right? We're going to compare them two together forever now. He hasn't had that crazy explosive game. I think if you were to just take all the stats out of the equation and just look at what we saw with Caleb Williams playing football against the LA Rams in week 4 of the NFL. Two things I saw. The bad, he holds on the ball too long. He does, but that's a rookie thing. Much more than, like, let's say what Justin did, where it was just part of his traits. He just didn't feel comfortable letting the ball go. You heard Mark Sanchez say there's going to be a moment, and we even see it as the weeks have gone on, where his decision-making just is faster. He's seeing the game faster. He's making smart decisions. He's not just throwing it up there and hoping for the best. He is checking down. He is throwing it out of bounds. He is sliding, all the things that you want. More importantly, he didn't turn over the ball. That's a big thing. He did get sacked a few times. But again, taking a hit, knowing how to take a hit is a big thing. So the bad, you're holding on to the ball too long. You have too bad of an offensive line to be doing that. It may be the chicken or the egg situation. But the good is we've seen him catch up to timing. We've seen that the misses that he's had, he's adjusted and try to work on them. Doesn't mean he's always going to get them. This is only his 4th game in the National Football League. One of the youngest players in the league. And I think every week we have seen the growth. And this kid is going to be a really, really good NFL quarterback. Is he going to be Tom Brady? Probably not. Who is, right? But if you're a Bears fan, it is all sunshine and rainbows right now with Caleb Williams. It is all good times and vibes because you see it all there. And you know there's going to be a game coming up where he goes off for 3 touchdowns, where he touches the ball and he's getting first downs in the most frustrating situations for the defense, where he has DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen, all getting touchdown receptions. He's got Roman Dunze with 70-something. Like, you know that game is coming. It could be against Carolina. It could be against Carolina coming up. My question to Caleb Williams, to Shane Waldron, and Matt Eberflus, can you continue the development? Will you continue to take a step forward, not a step back? Don't step back against Carolina. Don't throw 2 interceptions. Don't get the ball strip sack from you, which we've seen happen to Caleb. But again, he's just getting blindsided because his offensive line can't always keep him upright. But don't do that. If you can avoid those mistakes, you will win more often than not. Your team is good enough to. That is my second question to the Chicago Bears. Can you continue that development, that trajectory of Caleb Williams that we've seen week to week to week to week, and put it all together for one big breakout game? And my final question, after a Bears victory, 24-18 against the LA Rams in Chicago, you are here on the Sports Cubicle, on Sports from the Couch. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. The Bears now 2-2. My final question, the expectations now. You're 2-2. You won a game you were supposed to win against a team that is depleted, that is just hurt, not the same. And you see the superstars they're missing across in their sideline. Could have been a totally different game if Puka and Kupp were there. And you don't have that monster and Aaron Donald to deal with. It's not the same Rams team, but it's a Rams team that just came off a victory against the 49ers, a comeback victory against the 49ers, against a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's a big win. It's something to put on a feather in your cap, because in the NFL, there are no cheap wins against it, unless it's against like New England, right? Even then, in the NFL, anything can happen. We've seen it week to week. Coming off a bad loss against a team you should have beaten in the Colts. This team could have been 3-1 right now. That's the mindset they might have at Halasaw. But reality is you're 2-2. What's the expectations? My expectations is you beat Carolina next week. That you put a complete damper in the fire that is Andy Dalton. That you rain on the parade of the Carolina Panthers fans that think that this might be something. They played well against the Bengals. I don't know how good the Bengals are. But you're going against a 1-3 team. A 1-3 team in Chicago. Expectations are you win. My expectations are I want to see Montez Sweat on Andy Dalton's lap all game. I want to see Kyle Gordon. I want to see Jaquan Brisker. I want to see interceptions. I want to see defensive touchdowns. As much as I want to see the offense maintain and maybe even get better, take that next step, throw 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, crazy. In this game specifically, I want to see this Bears defense go to town on Carolina. I want to see them take advantage of Carolina. I want them to manhandle Carolina. This is a game where the Bears defense takes over and wins. And the offense gets to just do their thing, continue to develop, hold on to the ball, time of possession, get the run game established, and Caleb Williams continues to learn this offense, learn the NFL. Nice plays, protective plays with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, reliable, top-tier wide receivers in this league. Get the ball to Cole Kmet. Let Roman Dunze shine a little bit. And that defense will take care of the rest. That's my expectation for the Carolina Panthers. When you play them this coming up Sunday in Chicago. That's what I want from this Bears team. All the gradings from PFF, whether it's their offensive line, their defense, there is no excuse for this Bears team to not take advantage of it, especially this Bears defense. So I'm expecting a big game, a big matchup, a big win for the Chicago Bears next week. We want to know your thoughts. What do you think about what we have coming up against the Panthers, the Chicago Bears, the Carolina Panthers, the 1-3 Panthers, the 2-2 Chicago Bears, and Soldier Field, October 6th at noon. But the Bears find themselves on Victory Monday, enjoying a huge win against the LA Rams, 24-18. It is a interesting and much better way to start a week after a Bears victory. A lot of great stuff. We're going to be covering this win and next week's game, this coming up week's game, all throughout this week. It is going to be a fun time. You know, the NFL never stops as week 5 starts after Monday Night Football's doubleheader. What did you think? Were you impressed with this Bears victory? Did you think the Andre Swift was going to have this big of a game? Do you believe he can continue to have this big of a game, knowing it was a depleted Rams team going into a game against Carolina? How much do you want to see from Keenan Allen, his first game back? Can they scheme him to be that extra tight end / red zone threat? DJ Moore and Caleb Williams connection, their vibes, their synchronicity. Can it get better? How will it get better? Do you think it could get better? These are all questions that we're going to have throughout this entire week. We want to know your thoughts. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, Instagram, Mike Mercado Media. We're on Twitter at The Sports Cubicle, or just search us Sports from the Couch all over the internet so you can get our content. Of course, WCPT 820, The Sports Cubicle, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Check us out and on HeartlandSignal.com. And thank you, everybody, for checking out the book, Lucha Dog. You can get your copy now at luchadog.com or visiting Amazon, just searching Lucha Dog. We really appreciate all the support. It means a lot. We're writing part 2 right now, baby. It is coming, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We got a whole lot left here on the Sports Cubicle. The Chicago Bears beat the LA Rams 24-18. The record now 2-2 in the NFL season. We got more coming next here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm Mike Mercado.